Hello. Today we're going to look at how to capture more than one batch deposit report in a single document. The easiest way to do this is to go to Reports on the left-hand menu, followed by Transactions. On the right-hand side, we're going to select the Filters button. On the pop-up filter window, we're going to select the radio button next to Batch ID. And in the drop-down box, we're going to select all of the deposits in the date range that we're looking for. So these will be the funding dates. Once you've selected the data in the range that you're looking for, we're going to select Apply Filters. Once that's complete, you can either click the little white X in the filter window to close the filter menu, or simply click outside of the filter pop-up window. You'll notice that now your report includes all of those batches, and if you change the page range to a larger number, you'll actually see all of that on one page as well. You can choose the printer icon, and it will bring up the print queue, and it will have all of that information on one page. But the second step I'd like to show you will allow a little more functionality and a little more customization to how your data is presented. And that involves downloading the file as a CSV. So we're going to click this download button. And now we're going to open the file in Excel. So now we have the file opened in Excel, and you'll notice some of the columns need to be justified. We can simply do that by double clicking on the line, and it will autofill the extra space needed for those documents or for that data. One of my favorite things about Excel is if there's information that you don't need in your report, you can simply highlight and remove it. So that's information that you don't need to be presented in what you're going to be printing or capturing. You can simply delete that data. So if you don't need card information, you could do that there as well. Any of these fields can be removed. The other thing you'll notice are the dollar amount sections don't actually have a dollar sign. So we're going to simply select those three columns and choose the dollar sign option at the top of the page here. That will automatically add the dollar sign as well as the decimal point. So as we look at the data here, there is information that we want to separate out because we see the gross total, the fee total, and the net total for all of those transactions, but we don't have it broken up by the batches themselves. So for example, let's go ahead and provide a little more breathing room to the report. So that's going to be our group total for all of this date range that we selected. But now we're going to put in some spaces for each of the batches themselves. So for example, we're going to click the row with that batch 4599, and we're going to insert a row right above it. We're actually going to insert two just to give a little extra breathing room, and you'll see why in just a second. So again, we're going to go to the top of the batch, this time 4603. We're going to insert a row, and again, we're going to insert two rows for a little more breathing room, and you'll see why again in just a second. And then our next couple here are only going to need a single space. Same with all of these as we go up the page, because these are all single transactions per batch. So single transactions per batch. So we're only going to put in just a single space in here because they're already totaled. Okay, so for example, as we look at this data so far, we know that batch 20076 had a gross gift total of $90. The $3.08 per transaction fee is $86.92 was the net total. So we don't need to total that batch. Same thing for 2072, 20068, 20064. Now, as we get down here to 20060, we do want to tabulate the totals there. So we're going to simply come down to this extra space that we created, select the equal sign, and we're going to build a calculation field. So we're going to select the field. We're going to click the plus icon. We're going to select the next field, a plus icon again, the next field, plus icon, and that last field. And then we'll simply click enter to total. So for batch 20060, the total is 336 for the gross gift total. Now to bring that calculation over, we're simply going to click on the bottom corner, the bottom right corner of that calculation field that we created and drag it over to the next two. It will automatically bring that calculation over and tabulate the total for the fees, as well as the net deposit total for batch 20060. We're going to do the same thing for these last two batches that do have multiple transactions in the same report. And then one more here. And to provide just a little bit more breathing room, we'll bring these three down just one more spot here. Now, these all were automatically brought over. These are not calculation fields. If you wanted to build a calculation field for the totals, you could do that as well. They will match up to these totals. So that's going to be up to you. Now that we've customized the report a little bit, I'm going to say I don't actually need the status because I know these are approved. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that column as well. And because the report I'm going to be creating, I don't need the payment source to be shared with those users. I'm going to go ahead and remove that as well. So what that leaves me with is the gross gift, the processing fee total, the net gift, the batch it was associated with, and the fund. So that way if there were more than one fund, I could see that data. It also shows the name. I'm going to leave that for now. The next thing we're going to do is actually control P or file print. So to print this information on one page. On your print settings, one thing to make sure is that you change the portrait orientation to landscape orientation if you need the extra space. That's going to depend on how many columns that you decide to keep. For the report that I selected, the portrait orientation is sufficient. But again, if you had more data, you may consider it landscape. The other option is scaling if you want it to print at 100% or smaller or larger to get it on one page. But this will get that information all totaled by batch in one singular document. Thanks for watching.